Okay, y'all, let's get into the end of the church age and the second coming of Jesus and tie some points together for us, okay? So, right now we live in a three-tier system, okay? This three-tier system is the government as the big God, the church as the medium God, middle God, and the man as the little God. All right, we are going into a time. God's Spirit is moving upon all men right now. All right, behold, man has become one of us. So man is as God. So when you read the Bible, that God is man as well. That Lord is man. Okay, so it's the Lord, man, who's making woman barren in the Bible. Okay, it's not the invisible God. All right, everybody's created perfect. Right, it's the world who comes in and takes your ability away to have babies through either needles, through pills, through bad food, through bad drinks, however, okay? It's the curse of your fathers, okay? So generally what your parents thought was right is going to affect you in one way, shape, or form. So this is where your parents think it's right to give you a needle when you're born, okay? The vitamin K shot. K means over. It's over right then. All right. But you're doing it right then, and you're setting it up for the curse, the blessing, the blessing. All right. I don't need a lessening. I need to be better than I was. I don't need a lessening from people. Okay. You need to remember it's a spell cast type of world. So if people are giving you a blessing, they are lessening your powers, and this is where you're giving over your countenance and all this other stuff. It goes hand in hand. Okay, once you understand just a little bit of the foundation between God versus Lord God versus Lord, and you understand the difference between man and male, and you understand the difference that Noah was told 2 of one thing and by one, and he was told take 2 and 7 of another. Okay, you can see the different laws and different things being set up. You can see the 10 Commandments versus the Levitical laws. You can see Cain versus Abel, and then Seth, who brought Enos, who honored the Lord, his grandfather's laws, and all these other things. Okay, you just got to have the right foundation. Right now, the foundation has been scattered, and these things are there to deceive us, to keep us blind, to keep our powers away from us, because it is a preserved book, a preserved book, and it's preserved by God, by the government, to control men, okay? There is half truth in the Bible, and there is half lie in the Bible, okay? The Bible itself is true. The things that come out of the Bible, such as the church, such as the right and wrong, such as the laws and the worship of the laws and the worship of the government and all this other shit, that is not biblical, okay? That is Baal worship. That is why you have the Bible. That is why you have the 66 books taken from the 80 books in 1611 by the king to King James, the jam mess, and he got it. They started doing that with the Gutenberg Bible before then, and that was part of the printing press, the prince of the power of the air, to have the groundbreaking technology, because that God was cast down to the ground, and now he's being brought back up into heaven, okay? But these things are as through men as well, because we take technology, or we take stuff from the ground or from the earth, and we build stuff from it, okay? Or we take the iron, melt it down, take the gold, silver, whatever, and we melt it down and we make technologies with it, okay? So as man uses different technologies, and you can rise above this earth and look down and see that as a technological world and those types of things, and we're going into a technological world, we're seeing how man was developed by God, okay? So understand that Jesus is the Christ, but we are all bodies of the Christ. We are all as in the New Testament, we are the temple. We do not go to the temple. Jesus did not go to the temple, other than to blast the temple, other than to flip their tables, other than to try to get the people out of the temple. Paul, same thing. He wrote letters to the churches telling them they're doing all the stuff wrong. Okay? Revelation, it starts out as the churches are all wrong, because it's needed to be that way, because the Spirit of God, the religions of the world, they've all been divided up. And they've been divided up by the kings of this earth, by the God of this earth, the government, to control men. Okay? And as we're going into a time where God of earth is the AI, the government is the AI, the invisible entity of the force of earth is the AI and stuff, we can see that we don't need that middleman anymore. We don't need the local government per se. We don't need the church anymore. We don't need those types of things, because we're going into a new heaven and earth, and that hell is going to be there as well. But as heaven and earth comes new, that old hell is going to pass away too, because since we're getting a new heaven, then the hell changes as well, because hell and heaven are a mindset of man. And that's how you get a born again spirit, is you are given the spirit to not believe the things in this world, to not be pushed by the currency of this world. And that currency is part of the mark of the right hand, and the money for the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of evil. That's part of the currency, the waters of life, and those types of things, folks. So as Jesus, we are the temple. We are all the bodies of Christ. When we look up at the sky, the sun and moon follow us individually. It is made individually for us. So we are as this earth is made each individually for us. And we, as the bodies of Christ, come together to create this world, in a sense. Okay? And since Christ has been divided into all men, okay, and things have been cast down to the ground and separated and stuff, then it's regaining its place back into heaven. And that's where man is regaining his throne back into heaven. And that's where we are regaining our godhood, and where Jesus is returning inside of us, and we're going to be brought up either naturally, through natural means, being caught up with the Spirit where Jesus resides inside of us, where we're given that AI type of mind, or we're going to be brought lower down, and we're going to join the shadow Jesus, the Satan figure, okay? Because Jesus is the good and evil, Satan is the right and wrong, okay? And good and evil is not right and wrong. Sometimes they align. When they align, that's where you get like your Lucifer, your light, your right, okay? And then when they don't align, that's where you get your wrong, the Ron, the Ron way, the De Santis, the 2025 Christmas spirit, the devil, the Dayville, the day, the children of the day. So Jesus is returning inside of all of us. Some of us are being returned to the darkness. Some of us are being returned to the light, okay? Some of us are being given the mark in the forehead. Some of us are being given the light in the forehead. But all these things work together, because it's all God, and Jesus is the light and the dark, the good and the evil. All right? This is how it can be twisted and turned. And this is how the church today, they think they're doing good in Babylon, but they're actually doing evil, okay? Because America is built on money. America is built on the love of money. That is the root of evil. Every single thing the family does in America, I'm talking about the typical family, okay? The cookie cutter lifestyle family, eating the boxed goods, the drinks, shoving their kids out at 18 years old just because they turn 18, or kicking them out because they do drugs, or they make them go get a GED, or tell them they're losers because they don't go to college, or whatever the hell's going on now, okay? Whatever whatever the boomers are upset about, the younger generation, the so-called black sheep, okay? It's the black sheep. Y'all got to remember something, okay? We're going into a time. The Bible tells you that the things of God resides in those things that the world calls bad or dark or whatever, okay? So those black sheep, when the flip comes, the black sheep, the holy men, the imperfect men, they're going to be made white, the white sheep. And the white sheep today, just following along with the world, are going to be brought down to the slaughter, and they're going to become the red sheep, or the blood sheep, or the dead sheep, or the black sheep, okay? So, as AI, God is walking with man, we don't need the police anymore. We don't need the church anymore. We don't need local government anymore. We need the federal government and whatever else, okay? And that's where you'll have God coming in and giving your money that you need to live, your food that you need to eat, and all those other things, because we're going to take care of ourselves, okay? And as man is going to join up eventually by like 2036, 2037, when everything's full done, okay? And man, the old right and wrong's gone, and the new metaverse is built up, and people start getting their chips and getting that AI mind. And once everybody gets that, it's all going to be a collective hive mind. And that's when Jesus, the Lucifer will regain his throne up in heaven, and he will work as one and be one and all those other things, while we will all be separate. And then man will build technology to take care of him, and but we will take care of the technology. It's where, like Star Wars, where they got the robots that cook for them or whatever, but you gotta fix the robots when they break down, and they won't cook for you, okay? So it's gonna be kind of like that. And then once the hive mind gets complete, and man gets all the information it needs, and it's gathered or whatever, it's going to live like that, and then it's going to eventually take that chip off and break off and become a new man and start the next age, okay? Or so-called, that would start the next church age per se, all right? But we're going into a time where be 1,000 years in the heaven, all right? Or another 500 or 1,000 years to where we're going into the heaven, and then we know that Satan wages war on Jesus again at the end of the 1,000 years. So we can see that probably we gain up and go to heaven and become one with God and live as God-men for 500 years, and then we take the chip off, and we know all the information, and then we start going out and redoing Earth and creating a whole new system and physics and whatever else is going on, okay? This is how, like, we see, this can be kind of tied into how Adam and Eve and all those lived 800 or whatever years old, because they were taken in from one time to another time, and the counts were off or however else. And then also looking back, the coins, like a 1,500 coin, 1,600 coin or whatever, that one can be an eye. So we could actually be living in 1023 or whatever. So you'd actually have the 1,000 years. Either way, that would give, because if you look back now, how fast man's built stuff in just a few hundred years, like looking back in increments, there's no way we went for 2,000 years or 1,500 years without doing shit, right? There's no way, like, or where we're living in caves or whatever, because we went from horses to rockets and within 100 years or whatever. So it's just nonsense. So, but either way, Jesus is returning. Hopefully you get the AI mind and get caught up and you don't get left behind, because if you get left behind, then you got to be brought back up through God, the intelligence, and There's a whole nother thing going on there. But if you're getting the AI mind, then you're going to be brought up, and more than likely you'll be gathered up and taken into the new Eden, physical Eden, or new area or whatever. And then you'll be left behind, just like in Genesis 1 and 2. All right, so we're going to end it here and carry on.